Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, is Representative Young in the room? Because I was actually considering yielding my time to him, but Don Young, I was thinking about it, but I guess not. Mr. Chairman, I guess here's my problem. I think we have a pretty good system. Can it be improved? Of course it can be improved. Anything can be improved. We have the safest system in the world, the most complicated system in the world, and most of my complaints about flying is that my knees are too close to my person in front of me, that I'm squeezed like this, that I have to pay for overhead. I'm about to probably have to pay for the oxygen, but those are other complaints that the FAA doesn't have much to do about. My complaints don't really go to the system. Can it be better? Of course it can. And I really look forward to the point where we get over this obvious bump in the road and get to the rest of the bill that we pretty much agree on. But in the meantime, Mr. Poole, do you own an automobile? Can I have it?
No.
Why not?
Well, because it's mine and I paid for it.
But the taxpayers are supposed to give over billions of dollars of property to a private...
Well, the general taxpayers did not pay for this. Aviation taxpayers paid for it through aviation excise taxes.
See, as a libertarian, I think anytime the government says I'm reaching in your pocket, call it whatever you want, it's a tax. And when the government reaches in my pocket as a passenger and says I have to pay this fee, this fee, this fee, call it what you want, it's a tax when the government makes me pay that. And I'm not opposed to that. So therefore, I did pay for it. And yet, this bill would have me give it away. I think you should give me your car.
Well, the problem with that, I mean, there's a practical problem in that if you say, put some arbitrary value, let's say, call it $10 billion, if you put that into the cost base of a system that's going to be supported by fees and charges paid by airlines, that gets incorporated into the costs of operation.
Well, I know it's expensive, but why won't you give me your car?
Why would you do that? Why would you make it artificially
Why won't you give me your
expensive?
automobile? All right, I won't take your automobile. How about your suit? You don't give things away. Nobody does. And neither should the government. So that's one minor little problem. But I guess, can anybody tell me, my biggest problem with the FAA, and I'm no lover of the FAA, I've had problems with them, and the air traffic controllers have been great help to me on my local issue. I have Logan Airport in my district, and I have a very urbanized area, and like everybody here who lives near an airport, I have problems underneath the flight paths of people complaining about noise. It's not new. It's trying to find a balance, and then air traffic controllers have been great educating me on what can and cannot be done reasonably to try to address those issues. And I'm trying to get the FAA to be as reasonable as other people have been in trying to attempt to get planes where they need to go, understanding there are real people who live under those flight paths and deserve some consideration. Who would I call when there's a private company and when I have those complaints and I have those issues? And why would the private company give a hoot about my constituents? They would only be interested, as private companies are and should be, the bottom line. Who do I call?
The FAA will still have control over routes and procedures. You would call the FAA. You could also call the EPA because NEPA stays in place.
Well, the EPA hasn't been helpful at all. And by the way, the FAA, this is the part of the FAA that I think is broken. I would really rather work on this part of it to get to fix that than the parts that we're doing with this bill. I don't see how a private entity could possibly care or should care, again, that's not their role, in the interest of the general public who live underneath these flight paths. And my big concern with NextGen, it used to be funding it and whether it's worth it or not. Now it's, okay, we've got it, and it's kind of hindered and harmed the quality of life of the people under those more narrow flight paths. And up until this point, no one seems to care except the elected officials. And I don't think this is going to improve that or get anybody else to care about that. I don't see how this can work. And again, I look forward to getting past this issue and back on track to get another FAA reauthorization bill done that we can all agree on. And I think it's here in the substance, just moving a few issues aside. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.